Professor, what qualifies you as a scientist?
Well, okay, so I've I'm a professor at University of Louisville in Department of Ophthalmology, and I've been working there for about 26 years, and I've had a number of millions of dollars worth of grants as a principal investigator, so my peers qualified me as a scientist, and then lots of over 100 publications in peer-reviewed journals, and give lots of talks all around the world. So I guess that would qualify me as a scientist.
I would say so. In your presentation, you mentioned that it is impossible for the theory of evolution to explain the existence of the eye. Could you explain why? Okay.
Well, I guess, yeah, I could. One of the reasons why I don't believe in evolution, for one, is this problem with the eye, because I'm in the Department of Ophthalmology, and the other one is prebiotic evolution as a chemist. So let me go through both of those and just give you some bullet points. Prebiotic evolution is how we were formed by time, chance, and laws of physics from nothing, from just from the time the Earth cooled to the time life formed, for that process to occur. So these molecules have to come together, forming these building blocks just by time, chance, laws of physics. And as chemists, we know how these molecules come together and what the odds of these molecules are to come together. And so for instance, there's these proteins we have in our bodies, and they're important for life. And if you had these amino acids that make these proteins come together in, say, a prebiotic pool somewhere, and if you had them come together at the fastest rate, 10 to the 12th times per second, and you gave it 1 billion years, the odds of making a single protein are 1 in 10 to the 64th power. So you'd have to win the lottery every day for 8 years in a row for that kind of event to occur. So from a chemical standpoint, to make these biomolecules is just so remote that it's impossible. There must be other reasons why time, chance, and laws of physics formed life. And Watson and Crick, who got his Nobel Prize for developing DNA molecule, he noticed that, and he says that it'd be impossible to form life. And then there's DNA, and then there's lipids and membranes, and it's really a complicated process. The simplest life form has about 2,000 enzymes, and we can't even make one under laboratory conditions. So to believe that this occurred by chance alone is just such a remote possibility. But then there's the problem with the eye. So let's just say we have a creature on one hand who doesn't have a lens. So in the front of our eye is a lens, and it focuses light on the back of the eye. And it really is a nice advantage because you can focus and see really well with this lens. And so scientists can't put together a scenario of small events that would occur for which this lens could evolve. So we have in one case a creature that doesn't have a lens, and then we have another creature that evolved and has a lens. And so this lens would be a big advantage to this creature that has the lens, and of course he would pass on his genes and continue to propagate with this lens. But this lens would have to form spontaneously in the middle of the eye somewhere, and it's made of the same stuff that our skin's made of, yet it has to be clear. And to be clear, there's a whole number of events that have to occur it just becomes a remote possibility that there'd be a small series of events to occur. And if this lens wasn't clear, if you had a big blob of skin suddenly blocking your vision, that was going to be a lens, but it wasn't clear, it would be a big disadvantage for the animal. He wouldn't pass on his genes. I mean, so it has to be clear, and to be clear, all the cells would have to line up in like a crystalline array, which would be close to it. I mean, there's no cells that do that, but they would have to do that. And then there can't be any blood supply because that'd block the light. And then the space between the cells would have to be smaller than they normally are because they scatter light. If the space between the cells is larger than the wavelength of light, the light scatters. So that you have to have that. Then all the molecules inside the cell would have to rearrange into a crystalline array. And then you'd have to lose all your intercellular organelles. No DNA, no mitochondria to form energy. It'd have to lose all that. It'd have to be basically a dead tissue. And for all those events to occur spontaneously, and then, even if all that did occur and the lens was in the wrong spot, if it was too close or too far, the animal couldn't see. It has to be just the right spot to focus light on the back of the eye. It becomes almost impossible to think of any scenario of events that could occur by chance for a lens to evolve, let alone the whole eye. So that's it in a nutshell.
I see. Yes, that's very good.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned quite a bit of chemistry there, and,
Yeah.
And you also have a PhD in chemistry.
A PhD in chemistry, yes.
I remember that. Why do you think many scientists believe so strongly in evolution?
Well, okay, so science by definition is how we view our world or understand our world by time, chance, and laws of physics, and it excludes supernatural events. So it's a subset of the truth, and science is a wonderful thing. It gives us drugs, and we can test, send men to the moon, and and there are natural laws that occur that we can test and measure. And so, but science is a subset of the truth, because if there is a supernatural phenomena, science excludes, just by definition, supernatural phenomena. So if you're going to be just science alone, a naturalist, if you will, and try to figure out where we came from, and you exclude God from the equation, because it's not allowed in science, then you have to come up with something else. And that theory we have to be formed by time, chance, and laws of physics, which is basically evolution. And so that's why scientists believe, many scientists or naturalists come up with evolutionary theory. Well, and before I go on, so I have a lot of Christian friends, not a lot, but a few Christian friends who believe in evolution, but are also wonderful Christians. And your salvation doesn't depend upon whether you get evolution right or not, but it does depend on whether you believe that the Bible is the Word of God, because the Bible tells us that the animals were created in their kind, and He formed man from the dust of the earth, and it doesn't say anything about a fish crawling out of the onto land and forming legs, and then we evolved, and God saw that was good. It doesn't say that at all. So, so if you're going to believe the Bible literally, then that's where some Christians will have troubles if you believe in evolution.
Sure. Okay. Do you envision any time in the near future when the theory of evolution will no longer be the predominant theory that it is today?
Well, tongue-in-cheek, there'll come a time when Jesus comes back, and He's going to come back, and every knee will bow and every tongue confess that He's the Lord. And at that point, I think everyone will believe that the evolutionary theory was wrong. But I was saying that in tongue-in-cheek. I think we're in the season of that, but we don't know the hour that He's going to come back. But I think there'll always be scientists who are naturalists who will disregard some of the facts as, about God, and then there'll always be disbelievers, non-believers. So I think the evolutionary theory will probably be around. It's one of those things where it's a look-like scenario. You can never prove evolution, and I can't prove the existence of God unless He appears next to me. And so if you can't test it in the lab, the theory could be out there forever, and it's just untestable. It's basically religion, because you can test. I can test the rate at which a penny falls, 32 feet per second squared, and someone could test that in Russia, and you go, yeah, Doug got it right. But there's no testing of evolutionary theory. It just becomes a look-like. It looks like we evolved. It looks like we were created. And so I think lacking a test, the theory could be there forever.
I see. Huh. Have you met other scientists who have developed their own natural skepticism of evolution, either from the inadequacies of the theory itself or from things they have seen while studying in their respective fields?
So I get to run around and talk to a lot of scientists around the world, and there's quite a few scientists who are skeptical of evolutionary theory. There's an equal number that also embrace it. So, but there's a strong number, and it seems to be growing. You just get on the internet and you can talk to a lot of scientists who believe in creationism and intelligent design. That seems to be more in the last 10 years than ever.
I see.
And also astronomers, the Big Bang Theory brought a lot of people to religion, because they feel that there is a beginning. If there was not a beginning, one of the problems with evolution is if you have infinite amount of time, then you can have anything occur because you have infinite amount of time for that small chance to occur. But because there was a beginning at some point, and they know the remote possibility of that, not to mention just the amazing world of science in terms of astronomy and things. So a lot of people have come to embrace God through science. I think God gave us science so that we could actually realize that we can explain how we were formed by time, chance, and laws of physics, but that there must be a creator. And for us to understand God, I mean, once you realize the power of the universe, our ability to understand His, and even experience Him, is like my dog understanding how the computer works. We just don't have the capacity that he must have to create the universe. And the wonderful thing about this whole thing is that He wants to have a relationship with us, which just blows me away.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've heard you say before that you used to be an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're a very firm believer in God and in the Bible. How did that change occur?
Yeah, well, all right. So I grew up in the inner city of Detroit, and within 4 miles of my house, 55 people get killed every year, and lady across the street, 84-year-old, got raped, and my friends 6 doors down, Matt and Kevin, one was killed by a drug dealer with a baseball bat, and the other one was fed live to pigs by, so I mean, this is bizarre stuff. This is inner city craziness that goes on there, and I saw the evil in the world, and at the time I didn't have a strong basis of theology, so I just justified it. He says, well, there can't be how could a good God allow the 84-year-old lady to be raped when He could stop it? And so I was a non-believer on that basis. And then with professors telling you that we evolved and naturalism, and I kind of got caught up with that, and I was so there's only like 10% of the world is atheists. A lot of people believe in something, but I was definitely, I figured, well, I didn't believe in anything. And I was invited to church, this church here that we're talking from, and I was going to maybe free the Christians from their bonds of Christianity, let them know the truth. And they ended up letting me know the truth, and I learned why that God gives us free will to choose Him, and that's probably why a lot of the evil occurs in the world is we can choose evil over good. And in the beginning, He made us all perfect, and it's us that caused the evil, not Him.
Sure. People in America and all over the world are skeptical of the Bible because from grade school through high school and through college, textbooks present the theory of evolution as if it were fact. The Bible states that God created everything instead of a gradual multi-million-year process. That's why I think that this recording is so important. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it was great.